lot of questions about my birth plan. What advice would you give couples going through infertility? Will there be a birth vlog? Is she starting to drop yet? Who wants to end this Q&A on some baby names, shall we? And hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I hope y'all are doing super duper well. You guys, this is the last video that I am filming before we welcome our baby girl to this world. This is crazy. I feel like we should celebrate. I'm celebrating with you all right now. Before things really start speeding up around here, I wanted to do a final pregnancy Q&A, and I couldn't have think of a better video to wrap up this pregnancy than answer some of the questions you guys have been wondering. So I asked you guys on Instagram if you want to be a part of videos like this in the future, go ahead and follow me on there. But I asked about anything and everything that you've been wondering about end of pregnancy, pregnancy in general, IVF pregnancy, whatever you guys had. I'm going to go through as many questions as I can, and at least the most asked ones for sure. I'm also like very out of breath just speaking, so the amount of breaths that I'm gonna have to edit out of this video is just comical at this point. Just real quick, if you are new and just stumbling across my channel, hi, my name is Mac, my husband's name is Jack, and we went on a 3-year infertility journey to get to this point. We are extremely grateful. This has been the most surreal time of our lives, and I've really enjoyed sharing a bit of it with you guys. My infertility playlist and my other socials will be linked down below in case you guys want to check those out. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not already subscribed before you leave, and without further ado, let's dive into these questions. First of all, I just got a lot of kind messages just wishing us luck and happiness with our birth and welcoming baby girl, so thank you so much if you sent one of those. And a lot of questions in general about how I'm feeling right now in this moment. And there are a lot of feelings, but overall, physically, I'm actually doing really good. Besides, you know, the out of breathness and things like that, I'm definitely experiencing those third trimester symptoms, but I'm so happy to say that overall I'm still really enjoying it. I love carrying this sweet angel, and I feel like I'm in a really good mental space too. So physically, between being able to handle these symptoms pretty well as mentally just being in a good space, I'm overall doing really well, so thank you for asking. I got a few questions wondering how my anxiety is doing with birth impending right now, which is also very sweet because a lot of you know of my medical anxiety having to do with my infertility journey, and anytime I had to go in for like any medical procedure, I was a wreck. And what it really came down to was the fear of the unknown, and I also would get in my head thinking that all nurses and doctors were just like out to get me, and I had no factual like experiences to back that up. It was just my anxiety clinging to anything it could. So I thought they wouldn't have my best interest at heart. I thought I would have to advocate for myself left and right, but it was always totally fine. It literally was always fine, and everyone was always so sweet. And as far as the fear of the unknown, after I would do a procedure once, I had no problem the next time I had to do that procedure. So how that relates to birth, between taking our birthing classes, our breastfeeding classes, and I think especially getting to do an in-person tour at our hospital has really helped with any unknowns that I had, because between those classes and between the tour, I was able to ask any questions that I had, and from those classes and that tour, if I had any other questions outstanding, I could just take them to my OB the next appointment that I had. So I just felt like there was an opportunity to have transparency and just a really good conversation between me and my provider the whole pregnancy. So I feel really good. I've seen the physical hospital, I've seen the physical rooms, I know about their suggestions, their policies, and I just feel like the fear of the unknown has been squashed a little bit, and that's really where my anxiety comes from. So I'm feeling good. I'm feeling really good about that. Will there be a birth vlog? I am planning to film as much as I can. There is nothing I love more than watching back really key memories of this entire journey. I still cannot watch the finding out that I am pregnant video without absolutely sobbing. I don't know if there will ever be a day that I watch that without absolutely sobbing. So I'm just so happy to have that video, and so I can't imagine not at least capturing my thoughts, our feelings heading into the hospital, like all of that stuff. I'd feel so sad to not have that to look back on. So we're definitely planning on filming as much as we can, if it makes sense, for a birth vlog. How many weeks are you now, and is she starting to drop yet? I'm 38 weeks, and the dropping, I don't know. Let's see if you guys can tell. Overall, in my pregnancy, I've carried pretty high, and I still feel like I'm carrying pretty high. I just don't feel like there is a visual drop. And my doctor asked me recently if I noticed if it's been easier to breathe recently, and I can't say it has. I definitely feel very out of breath still, and definitely like claustrophobic in the lung area. So I don't think that she has dropped, at least not a lot, but there is a lot more pelvic discomfort. Like if I'm in a certain position, I'm like, ooh, that's a lot of pressure, or there might be a sharp pain here and there, depending if she moved or I hit a bone or something like that. So she may have dropped a little bit, but I don't know if she's just grown or her head has just been in a really good pelvic position, and that's just what I'm feeling. But still hard to breathe, and I think my belly is still pretty high up here. What advice would you give couples going through infertility? And I also saw a lot of questions like, what would I tell myself when I first started my IVF journey or my infertility journey? And so I'm just gonna like group that all into one. As much as I want to give like concrete medical or health advice related to how to magically get pregnant if you're doing these treatments, or if you're going into IVF, or if you've been struggling with infertility, if there was a secret sauce that worked for everybody, we all wouldn't be here right now. So with that, I would say just trust your gut going through all of this stuff. Trust your gut. If you like your doctor, trust your doctor. There's going to be so much noise from friends, family, if you're online, if you're scrolling TikTok, about what you need to do in order to get pregnant. And if it's like pomegranate juice or pineapple or like things like that, and you find it fun or just stress-free to add into your routine and things like that, that's one thing. But overall, I would say just to block out what doesn't serve you, and you'll know what that means to you. It just gets overwhelming. It's just noise at a certain point, and the last thing that you need is more noise when you're going through something that can be really chaotic feeling in a way. The other thing that I would say that helped me so much is to take it one step at a time, because regardless of where you're at or what procedure you're gearing up for, if you're going into IVF, if you look at the whole thing all at once, it is incredibly overwhelming. But I can say, having gone through 2 IVF rounds at this point, that every step is actually not very intense. And even though there are so many unknowns, because a lot of us have not given ourselves needles at home, for example, so some of the steps can be really nerve-wracking, but as soon as you do it once, you're a pro. Like, you're gonna do so good. And if you just take it in chunks, if you take it one appointment at a time, one medication at a time, one needle at a time, before you know it, you're at your egg retrieval, and before you know it, you're at your embryo transfer. And it's really freaking cool, because you get to look back at all those steps and be like, look what I freaking did. Look what I did. And on that note, the last thing that I would say is, don't be afraid to celebrate the things that you can celebrate during these times. Like I said, this process can just feel like a lot, and you guys saw that I had a lot of tears during mine as well. It was not all smiles and laughter, but there was definitely a lot of that sprinkled in too, because even though I only got 4 eggs that first time, I celebrated that one embryo that came out of those eggs. And it literally felt like the best present I've ever opened on Christmas morning when I saw that we got that one embryo, because we just chose to celebrate that. Once you do that last pio shot, celebrate your last pio shot. You've been giving yourself shots in the butt for weeks up until that point. You deserve to celebrate it. But on the flip side, let yourself feel, and don't let yourself feel guilty about feeling really sad sometimes. This is a lot, and you're gonna feel so many types of emotions, and the last thing you want to do is beat yourself up about how you're feeling about certain things. But you've got this, because you guys are super, super strong. The most unexpected and not talked about symptom or pregnancy related things. So for me personally, two come to mind. One, I was so surprised to know how many women experience subchorionic hemorrhages and hematomas, and how not harmful the vast majority of those cases can be to baby, because that is freaking stressful, and that was so scary to go through. But it happens to so many women, and I just had not heard a lot about them, and so it really caught me off guard. So that was definitely one. But the other one that totally caught me off guard was the vertigo that I experienced around 14 weeks, which is also super common. It was actually like a whole section in this massive book that my OB office gave us when we established care with them. It's so common that it was literally a section in the glossary of terms that I could read about, because the blood flow during that week specifically just increases so much. But the dizziness was so strange when I would like tilt my head a certain way, or I would get up after sitting after a while, and then after about a week or so, it totally went away. Never experienced it again. A lot of questions about my birth plan, and I don't blame you, because I always love hearing about people's birth plans, and I'm definitely going to share mine, but just not now. Sharing my entire infertility journey and just navigating what I ended up being comfortable sharing versus not comfortable sharing, I found that there's just a balance that I like to strike between sharing things that I think other people would find helpful, such as birth plans, but keeping my peace and not sharing it before my actual experience, so that I'm just not reading everybody's opinions and input and own experiences regarding certain things that I would share with something like a birth plan. But I do plan to share what my birth preferences were going into the delivery room, and also what actually ended up happening. So all of that will definitely be shared eventually with our birth story. But little things that I will share that are just more general is that the word relax, if someone uses that word in my delivery room, I'm going to lose my mind. So that's definitely something I'm gonna make known. I don't want to hear that word ever. You can tell me to breathe, you can tell me to bear down, you can tell me to focus, you just can't tell me to relax. And then another thing I'm going to make known is that informed consent is extremely important to me throughout my entire birth process. I want every decision that we come to be collaborative. I want to know the risks and the benefits for everything that we talk about. And in no circumstance do I want something done to me or my baby without me knowing about it. I just want to keep very informed. I want the communication to be open, and I want to consent to everything that goes down during that day, or a few days, 1 to 2, 3 days. I don't know. How long is it going to take? What are you most excited for in the first few weeks of postpartum or newborn life? I think Jack and I just talk about holding her. Like, coming off of the journey that we have had, the idea, I knew I was gonna cry in this. I literally knew I should have worn waterproof mascara. I'm gonna try not to though. I'm gonna try not to. Whenever I picture her being laid on my chest, and whenever I picture Jack and I home, just holding her, him having her on her chest, and like, it's just the most out of reach thing, it feels like, but also it's happening, it's coming, and it's just, it feels so surreal. That's the only word that I can describe it, is just surreal. This whole pregnancy is surreal after what it took to get here. And so I think just being in our bubble and existing together is seriously the most exciting thing that I can think of that we're looking forward to. I know it's gonna be hard. I know the sleep deprivation is going to be wild, but I think what we have been through is going to shed a lot of perspective in a lot of those really intense or hard moments. And I'm just ready to tackle this with my husband. I'm so excited. It's going to be the most fun group project that we've ever worked on together. A few people asked about any part of pregnancy that surprised me the most, and I know I answered a symptom, like little symptoms that surprised me that I had no idea were pregnancy related things, but something in general, not really symptom related, just popped in my head that I really wanted to mention. I was really worried about my perception of my body or my body image going into pregnancy, because because it's definitely something that I've struggled with in the past, not pregnant, and knowing how much change was coming my way related to my body was really nerve-wracking, but it was also really confusing because we were fighting so hard for pregnancy for so long, you know? But something that surprised me so much is how freaking powerful I feel being able to be here right now. The different changes and the things that I thought I would look at negatively about my body as it changed are not even a thought in my mind. I'm definitely puffier. I've definitely got stretch marks forming, but when I see those things, I have no feeling about them. I don't feel negative. I don't feel positive. It's just there. It just is. And I definitely thought that I would struggle a lot more with that, but I've truly never felt more confident or beautiful in my life. And I'm just so grateful. And whenever I look at my belly, I'm just so proud of what it took to get here. And I'm so proud of my little girl. And I'm so proud of the house that I created. So that was super unexpected, but it was really, really freaking cool. So I'm gonna try to continue that mindset going into postpartum and more so focus on what my body has been able to accomplish versus how it looks, because the female body is incredible. We are incredible, you guys. People have asked about the cats in pregnancy. If you don't know, I have 2 cats, Miss Allie and Hippo. Do we think that they know that I'm pregnant? Do we think that they're gonna act a certain way when baby gets here? And honestly, I don't think they know. There's not been enough behavioral change in them for me to be like, they for sure know what's going on in there. I would say the only major changes between me and Miss Allie is definitely Jack's cat. We all know this by now. She worships the ground that he walks on and vice versa. But I think Miss Allie and I's relationship has definitely gotten closer since I've become pregnant, especially after the first trimester, because I was just like a lump on the couch for a lot of that. But I think it came from me more so than it came from her. Throughout a lot of infertility, I look back and I don't think I was giving her enough attention from me or enough bonding time from me. But during pregnancy, my attachment to my cats and like how cute I think they are has just like skyrocketed. They could do the literal bare minimum and I'm like, you're the most perfect angel on the face of this earth. You're the most incredible creature. You're perfection. So I think Miss Allie is just responding to that, and overall, I think we've just gotten more cuddly and more close. But the other day when I was going for a walk, I definitely was feeling some tightness in my belly, and when I got back, Miss Allie was snuggling onto my belly. That was weird. That was like the first thing that I would say in the whole pregnancy that I was like, that's strange that she did that, you know? So I just think baby girl might be coming soon and she can kind of sense that potentially. I got some questions about content going forward in general, or what we think we'll be comfortable sharing as it relates to our family. So I'm just gonna wrap that kind of into one. So content, I definitely want to do the birth vlog. Like I said, I definitely want to do kind of the first 24 hours, leaving the hospital. Like I would be so sad to not have that stuff to look back on. So you can definitely expect that type of thing. But as far as our content in general, I don't think you're going to see a major shift. We still love vlogging, we still love sharing fun memories, but it's also not going to shift in the way that it'll be from our experience, mostly from mine. My name is on this channel. This isn't going to become my baby's channel, and it's not going to all of a sudden become a like family challenge channel, like, you know what I'm saying? So I don't think you're gonna see a major shift, and it is going to be centered around my experience now as a new mom, postpartum and beyond. And I think that's gonna continue to be really fun for me to share. You guys have seen me and Jack through the phase of infertility, before TTC in general, but then infertility and all of that, pregnancy and everything that came with that. So I'm just super pumped to continue sharing on that level as we move into this next phase. Like, I'm so excited. Who wants to end this Q&A on some baby names, shall we? I thought about doing this in an entire separate video, but honestly, your girl's running out of time to do an entire separate video. But also, I don't think that it could make up an entire separate video, so let's just do it here. The only reason that Jack isn't here for this portion is because this is actually a shared list between him and I, and we have actively been going through striking names, adding names, and how we've just naturally gone about about this is if somebody just does not like a name, we're not going with it. Like, I could not imagine like fighting for a name that I love that I know that he doesn't, you know? Sometimes we'll revisit names and be like, you know what, that actually sounds really nice. Let's keep that. But if one of us doesn't like it, it's just not on here. So these are names that I can share that we liked, but they have since been officially crossed off. Evelyn. Evelyn was my #1 for years, and I feel like my fellow infertility girls can relate to this, but it wasn't as popular as it is today 3 to 4 years ago when we started trying to have a baby. So she most likely would have been Evelyn if it wasn't as popular as it is today. I think it's top 10 or top 5 right now. And when we were personally looking at baby names, we just didn't want to go so obscure or just something that you've never heard of before. But we also didn't want her to be like the 10th Sarah in her class, for example. I love the name Sarah, don't get me wrong, it's a beautiful name, but we were looking to go somewhere in the middle as far as like those two poles, if that makes sense. We liked the name Charlie, but we couldn't get Charlie D'Amelio out of our heads, but I really liked that for a girl. We really liked the name Jane for a while. That was really, really pretty to us. Drew was also on the list for a girl as well. We have a few that could go boy or girl names like Charlie or Drew. We also had Colby on the list for a girl, but then sometime last year, and I'm actually very happy that somebody said this, I was playing Sims on my Twitch channel and I mentioned the name Colby because my Sims were having a baby, and so we were like brainstorming some names, you know? And we were talking about it in real life, like it should be a name for our future kid. And somebody said along the lines like, you should totally do that because you could be Mac and Jack and Colby Jack Cheese. Like mac and cheese, Jack and cheese, Mac and Jack cheese, and Colby cheese. Like it just was all very cheese related, and ever since then it's been crossed off. My camera died just in case the frame changed a little bit. Adeline was something that was recently crossed off. We were really in love with the name Addie for a while there, but it ended up getting crossed off, but it's still really beautiful. Clara was a name that we really liked for a while, more so me than Jack, so that's probably why it got crossed off. And then the name Jodie or Jodie or Josie. Those 3 names actually were crossed off, a variation of those. I think Josie was the first one that was on the list, and then there was something about it that he didn't like. So we played with Jovi or Jodie, and we still just didn't love those ones. So that one was next. And then just some rapid fire. Blake, Reese, Mallory, Penny, Emery, Bailey. Those are the ones that I'll share that are definitely not making the cut. Probably a lot, actually. We had a list of a lot of names because just over the past 3 years, we've just been adding to it. So the list got so out of control. But those are probably the most recent names that have been crossed off that really did have a good chance. But ultimately, as we got closer and closer, they just didn't feel like her. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go in with the top 3. I want just the top 3. Jack says that he wants maybe 5. And I'm like, if I have 5, I'm just gonna blow open the whole list and start all over. So I'm thinking top 3, and then we really just have to see her face and meet her. And then I'm hoping her name will just reveal itself of those top 3. But anyways, my friends, thank you all so much for watching. I'm so like in my feels right now wrapping up this video. This is crazy. I think there's one video planned for after this, but we filmed the last clip of it like last night. So in real time right now as I'm sitting here, this is the last clip that I'm filming before we do the damn thing. So this is just really special. So thank you all so much for watching. If you haven't hit the subscribe button yet, make sure to do so down below because I upload videos like these every single week. All of my socials are linked down below in case you want to check out those. Don't forget to give this video a big ol' thumbs up, and I will catch you in the next video, my friends. I'll see you guys later. Bye!